Let's get right into it. Number 9. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Imagine living in a town where the ground beneath your feet has been on fire for over 60 years. Welcome to Centralia, where hell isn't below ground, it's right under your shoes. Back in 1962, someone had the brilliant idea to clean up a trash pit by setting it on fire. The fire spread into abandoned coal mines below, and that's when things got interesting. The ground started smoking like a chain smoker having a bad day. Random sinkholes would appear out of nowhere, breathing toxic fumes hot enough to melt your shoes. A 12-year-old kid was playing in his grandma's backyard when the ground opened up beneath him. A 150-foot deep hole suddenly appeared, spewing hot, toxic gas. If his cousin hadn't pulled him out, he would have fallen straight into hell. People started finding dead animals posed in weird positions, frozen by toxic gases. Imagine finding a deer standing perfectly still, surrounded by steam, like some twisted nature statue. The government tried everything to put out the fire. They pumped water, concrete, and even fly ash down there. The fire just kept burning. By the 1980s, they gave up and spent $42 million buying out property. Most people took the money and ran, but a handful of stubborn residents looked at their smoking, toxic hometown and stayed. Today, only 5 people remain in the town with no zip code. The roads are cracked and buckled like someone dropped a giant hammer on them. Steam rises from random cracks in the earth, and somewhere below, a fire that started when JFK was president is still burning away. Scientists say it could keep going for another 250 years. Number 8. Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. In West Virginia, there's an abandoned amusement park that's like a set piece from a nightmare. The park was built on an ancient Native American burial ground. We're talking about 3,000 bodies buried under those carnival rides. Back in the 1700s, 3 kids from the Clay family were killed in tribal raids on this same land. In 1926, someone decided this cursed spot would be perfect for family fun. The locals disagreed, especially the ghosts. A little girl in a pink dress got on the swings one day. The ride started, and she flew right into a parked truck. Then there was a boy who got stuck in a drain pipe in the swimming pool. By the time they found him, it was too late. By 1966, 6 people had died there. Someone tried reopening it in the 1980s. Companies don't like insuring places where kids keep dying. Now the park sits there, rotting away in the West Virginia wilderness. The rusty swings still move on their own. A red ribbon marks where the little girl died. It never fades, even after years in the sun and rain. The plastic pinwheel on an old ticket booth spins when there's no wind. Even the owl decorations shake and spin by themselves. People say they hear children laughing when no one's around. Number 7. The village of Geamăna. Imagine living in a village where your neighbor is a toxic lake that keeps getting bigger every day. That's what happened to Geamăna, a village in Romania that got swallowed by something way worse than water. Back in the 1970s, Romania's communist government found copper nearby and went full supervillain. They kicked out 400 families and turned their valley into nature's most toxic bathtub. It's like building a swimming pool, but instead of water, you fill it with stuff that makes Chernobyl look like a health spa. Today, this place looks like something from a post-apocalyptic movie. The lake is a cocktail of chemicals that changes colors like a mood ring made of poison. Sometimes it's bright orange like a giant pool of Fanta. Other times it turns blood red or purple like an alien landscape. Only a church spire still pokes above the poisonous soup. Below the surface, there's a whole village frozen in time. The village cemetery lies somewhere under that rainbow-colored toxic waste. Those graves now have the world's most dangerous water feature. A handful of stubborn locals looked at this technicolor pool of industrial waste and thought, this seems like a nice place to settle down. They survive on the edges of this toxic lake, with no schools, no doctors, nothing. Just them and their determination to stay home, even if home is now next to a chemical swimming pool. The water keeps rising every year, eating more land. That church tower acts as a measuring stick showing how much higher the toxic tide gets. Soon, even that lonely spire might disappear under the rainbow sludge. Number 6. The Buzludzha Monument. High up in the Bulgarian mountains sits what looks like a crashed UFO. It's basically what you'd get if you asked a Soviet architect to build a flying saucer while drunk on vodka. This massive concrete spaceship was built by Bulgaria's communist government in 1981. It cost 14 million Bulgarian leva, which they raised by forcing people to buy special stamps. Thousands of workers were volunteered to build it for free, because saying no to communists wasn't really an option back then. The inside was once covered in massive communist mosaics made with precious stones and gold, because nothing says, Workers of the world unite, like covering your walls in luxury materials. Lenin and Marx stared down from walls made of tiny colored stones. The ceiling had a massive red star made of special ruby glass imported from Russia. When communism fell, everyone just walked away. They left everything behind like they were running from a zombie apocalypse. The government secretly allowed metal scrappers to steal the copper roof. Now rain and snow pour in freely, turning communist art into abstract water paintings. The main hall stands like a frozen communist cathedral. When the wind blows through the broken windows, it makes a haunting sound. Local officials put up signs warning about man-eating bears to keep people away. Though the falling chunks of ceiling are more dangerous than any bears, a mysterious guard still patrols the area, though nobody knows if he's actually employed or just showed up one day and decided this was his job. Number 5. The town of Kolmanskop, Namibia. A railway worker found a diamond while cleaning train tracks in 1908. Everyone rushed to this spot in the middle of the desert to get rich. They built an entire luxury town right there in the sand. These people were literally picking diamonds off the ground like they were collecting seashells. They got so rich they built fancy houses with ballrooms, a hospital with Africa's first X-ray machine, and even an ice factory in the desert. One family even had a pet ostrich they'd make pull a sleigh around town. The town was producing 12% of the world's diamonds. That's like finding a gold mine in your backyard, except it's diamonds, and the backyard is an endless desert. But in 1928, someone found bigger diamonds down south, so everyone packed up and left. Now, the desert is taking everything back. Sand pours through broken windows like water. You can walk into what used to be someone's fancy living room and find sand dunes touching the chandelier. The hospital still has medical supplies scattered around, looking like something out of a horror movie. There's even an old bowling alley where the pins are still set up, waiting for players who left 70 years ago. Today you need a permit to visit. Not because they're worried about people stealing diamonds, but because if you get lost in there, the desert might decide to keep you. Number 4. Chicken Church. Deep in the Indonesian jungle sits a building that looks like a giant chicken had a baby with a church. Back in 1988, a guy named Daniel had a vision of a majestic white dove perched on a hilltop. He took this as a sign from above to build a prayer house, but during construction, when they added a crown to the building, their peaceful dove turned into what looks like the world's biggest chicken. From far away, you can see this massive white chicken head poking out above the trees. It's got a crown on top that looks like a rooster's comb. Inside the chicken's head, there are windows where eyes should be. You can climb up there and look out through them, seeing the jungle from a bird's eye view. The building has 12 prayer rooms hidden underneath, like some kind of religious chicken coop. These rooms were meant for people of all faiths to come and pray. Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, everyone was welcome in the holy chicken. In 2000, they ran out of money and had to stop construction. Nature started taking over, turning it into what looked like a chicken-shaped haunted house. Local people started spreading rumors about vampire ghosts living inside. Number 3. Paricutín Volcano and the Buried Church. A Mexican farmer in 1943 was working in his cornfield when the ground split open right in front of him. Within hours, that crack turned into a volcano spewing lava and ash into the sky. This wasn't some slow geological process that took thousands of years. This volcano emerged faster than most people build a garden shed. Within 24 hours, it was already 50 feet tall. For 9 straight years, this newborn volcano kept growing. It didn't care that there were 2 villages in its way. The lava crawled forward like a slow-moving flood of fire. In one of these villages stood the church of San Juan Paricutín. As the lava approached, people could hear the church bells ringing 2 miles away. Some thought it was a sign of the apocalypse. The lava swallowed most of the church whole. Today, the whole area looks like the world already ended. The ground you walk on used to be liquid fire, leading to a church frozen in time. It's the only church in the world where you can say, "I went to church today," and "I climbed a volcano" in the same sentence. Number 2. Sanzhi UFO Houses. Back in 1978, some businessmen had this wild idea to build a resort that looks like a fleet of UFOs landed on the beach in Taiwan. These weren't typical vacation homes. They were bright, colorful pods that looked like they came straight out of the Jetsons. The plan was to attract rich American military officers who wanted to vacation inside a flying saucer. During construction, they cut an ancient dragon statue in half to widen the road. In Chinese culture, that's about as smart as opening an umbrella indoors while walking under a ladder with a black cat. Things got darker when people discovered the whole place was built on top of an old Dutch military cemetery. Workers started having accidents. Some people even took their own lives there. The project ran out of money in 1980, leaving these alien pods frozen in time. Plants began reclaiming the structures, into something that looked like a post-apocalyptic movie set. For decades, these UFO houses just sat there, slowly being eaten by plants like forgotten trash. Urban explorers loved it. Where else could you find a whole village of grounded UFOs? By 2008, they finally demolished these cosmic ghost houses. Number 1. The Submerged Church of St. Nicholas. In North Macedonia, there's a church that plays hide-and-seek with a lake. Back in 1947, the government decided they needed a dam more than they needed dry land, so they flooded an entire area, turning it into a massive artificial lake. Most buildings got completely destroyed, but this church refused to die. The water level constantly changes throughout the year. Sometimes the church is completely underwater, like a medieval Atlantis. Other times it emerges, showing off its battle scars from decades of being nature's punching bag. Inside, an image of St. Nicholas still stares from the walls. When the water's low enough, you can actually walk inside. The floor is warped from years underwater, like a funhouse mirror you can walk on. This church has spent more time underwater than most shipwrecks, yet it still stands there, defying both gravity and common sense. It's probably the cleanest abandoned church out there. It gets power washed by a whole lake every few months. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.